All right, back with another little breakdown video today, man. I decided to kind of jump back to my first album, Reckless in the Search for Love again. So today I'm going to be breaking down a low-key favorite of a lot of people's, Reckless Test '01. It's a song I never really promote much. I did for a little period of time, but I never promoted it much just because I didn't think it would go anywhere. But it's like, I've had a handful of people tell me it's like their favorite song of mine, which always kind of surprises me because I didn't think it was that good when I made it. I want to jump into the beat first because I'm trying to figure out the structure still of these videos, but I want to jump into the beat first, and then I'm gonna kind of jump back and just into the process of making it. Just because it's not a crazy beat, you can kind of see on the side here. You probably can't, you're kind of far, but you can probably see on the side it's not a whole lot going on. So yeah, I just want to kind of jump into it, and then I'll kind of break it down a little bit more at the end. So I can't actually tell you how I made this. This is actually, I think, one of the earliest beats I had made that made it to the album. I had to have made this beat around 2022, I think. So it existed about 3 years before the album actually came out. Like I said, there's a little bit more to the story that I'll explain at the end. So I'm gonna be honest, my whole thought process on this is a little foggy. But I do know I was kind of searching and scrolling and whatnot, trying to find sort of instrumental to start with. So I remember kind of coming across this, and at the time, and you can notice, I believe it was in my last video as well, I said at the time I was working with a lot of synths. I was doing a lot more like sort of trap heavy stuff. But I'm a big synth guy. I like synths. I think synths are very nice. And so at this time I was definitely working with a lot of synths and kind of just layering it with 808s and shit like that. So that was something I wanted to do with this one. And in this section of the album, which is why I included this track, again, because it's so old, I could have made a new one, but I was like, I really like this track. I wanted something that was very upbeat, something pretty bright, you know what I'm saying? So that's where we kind of get this nice little, you know, kind of little like synthy sort of bell thing going on right here. And so to me, it kind of almost had a very like house music type of feel to it. You know, you can pitch it and you can do whatever you want to it, but it kind of gave me that sort of feel to it where it's like, you know, got that sort of groove to it, which I'll come back to later because it was important for that sort of like B section, you know, 1.5 section of the song. And so ended up getting this little pad that layered with it. And so that just layers into something like this. So that's what it sounds like, and that is basically like all of the actual like instrumental shit, honestly. So everything beyond that is really just drums that I popped in myself. So again, kind of pretty simple stuff. It was again very trap-centric, track inspired. I did a lot of times I would layer hats and I would have something a little more reverby where I would hit the triplets on, as opposed to just using the same hat for everything. So that's kind of what I did here. You can see I just layered it. So just a little different, you know what I'm saying, pitching it differently on certain hits. And so I think I said this as well in the last video, but typically, again, I'll kind of have something hitting, basically, you know, almost keeping that time up. Or 1, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying? So that's what this clap is here, but I actually layered it with both a snap and a snare, which is kind of rare for me. Again, usually I layer it with maybe just one or the other, but this is a song that has a lot going on in it. So I don't know, it just kind of, again, very upbeat, very, you know, got a groove to it. So, you know, throwing all that in. But yeah, so this is where I kind of just added that little shaker I added to a lot of my stuff. Just like I said, for me, it's just something that I just tend to add into a lot of my songs. I don't know why. For me, it's just a nice little piece. And then I added my 808s. Pretty sure I mentioned this on Pound Cake as well. Just, I know a lot of people probably tend to do this as well, but I tend to just mix up the 808s. So you see I have two different versions of the 808s here. They're never very too different. I feel like it's something where if you're really paying attention, you'll notice it. If you're not, you'll be like, what are you talking about? But typically I'll have a little bit more going on in the verse with the 808s or kick if I'm doing a kick. Just granted, it does give me a little bit less of a pocket, but I wanted the hook. You can kind of, you can't really see it, but you can see here, like I have a little bit more space. Again, it's a pretty active 808 I have on this song, but you can see there's a little bit more space here on the hook 808, and I'll show the other one. So yeah, you can see there's a little bit more going on. This is the 808 that plays during the verse. So you can see there's just a little bit more going on with it. And like I said, for me, it just opens up the pocket on the chorus a little bit, especially because I don't have a very fast chorus, even though this was at a point where I was just like spamming shit during my songs. But you know, it's a relatively open chord, you know, said I'm feeling you once, now I'm cutting you months. Like, so I didn't want this like very active 808s, doom, 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 like punching through the whole thing, you know what I mean? So that was what that was. So this is basically all the drums together. And I'll just show what it sounds like during the verse as well. So you can see it's just a little bit more of like a, like it has a little bit more of a groove to it. It's a little different. Whereas during the hook, it's a little bit more open, just gives me a little bit more space for me to settle, you know, during the hook with that, you know what I'm saying on the hook. So a lot of people ask like, why the fuck is Kirby on the song? I don't actually have an answer for that. It just, to me, it just worked. Like I said, I wanted something very bright. I wanted something very, I don't know. I just wanted something very, yeah, it's very bright. It's very happy, and just Kirby just kind of added that extra little bit of just like joy and shit to the song. So, but it's just this little clip. So that's the one clip, and then I have so it's those two that just played throughout the song. I had them basically play in different bars. But I separated them a bit, just like I said, I don't know. It just, to me, added a little bit to it, and I feel like you can feel it. If it played without Kirby, right, to me, it just sounds a little dry, you know? And so there's only a couple things left, really. I went over it in the last one, so I'll go over it in this one, and I did a lot of, like, talking parts, and that was very intentional. I did a lot of, like, parts where I was using like, audio clips and shit throughout the album, and for me, it was a way to kind of illustrate the different sections of the album. So this one falls into like the love for somebody else, like a significant other. And so that's why I kind of had this section, if anybody ever is able to peep it, but it's from Cowboy Bebop. And it's when Spike and Faye are talking. I believe it's pretty late on it. I think it's one of the last couple episodes of the series. And so that's what this section is. But that's just about it for the beat. The only other section that I wanted to talk about was this kind of A.5/B section here. And this is why I say this song reminded me a lot of like house. It reminded me of like how the instrumental that I had for it reminded me of like a house song. Just it has that groove. And so again, I was thinking through the whole time I was making it all these years ago, like I don't want the beat to just sound the same the whole way through. I'm a victim of that very often. So I was like, I wanted to do something a little different in this section. Something to just differentiate from the rest of it. And so I kind of came to the conclusion. I was like, you know what? Let's do a little drop and let's just turn this into a straight house song. Like I wanted something like it's gonna just stop and break down and everyone's just gonna be like, oh shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Something you can just start like just jumping to. So it's really simple. It's literally just this kick and this clap. So. it's just that. And for me, this is like one of my favorite sections in the entire album. I don't know, it just feels really good. It just feels really good. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, so that's the beat itself. I do remember having a lot of fun putting this beat together, like all those years ago. Definitely is a song that, like, again, I didn't hate. I just didn't think it was good. Like, I was just like, you know. And so for me, now I can take my time getting into like the actual bits and pieces of the song. This, I'd say probably Reckless Test or This Feeling were probably the two hardest songs to write. I think both of them were the two hardest songs to write on this entire album. And so for me, the reason why this one was very hard to write was because, well, there's two things. But I'll explain the first one first, and I'll actually play it for a minute. But it was very hard for me to write because I had done, I think I mentioned this again in another video, where I would, many years ago, actually, I started doing this back in high school when I was like first starting production. I would make beats and then I would like go on YouTube and search like an acapella for just random songs, popular songs, whatever, so I could just get the vocals for a song and just slap them on top of mine. And so I did this with Sticky. The song was Sticky. That's what it was. So I couldn't remember the song name. But I actually like took that, and you can kind of see I just stripped the acapella. Let me highlight it, but down here. And so I'll play a little bit of it just because I don't know how copyright works with shit like this, so I don't want to get boomed on, but. Hey, no one hanging on my neck. The price it matches a set. My brother name is $10. Stop all that back and forth over the net. That made it very difficult for me to kind of picture how I wanted to sound on the song. I had his flow kind of stuck in my head every time I was writing something. So when I started writing, it was like, it was really in that flow, and you can kind of actually still hear it on the hook, you know. So how he's kind of like, hey, hold on, hang on the net, so you know what I'm saying. So you kind of hear that on my hook still is, you know, said it, I'm feeling you once, and I couldn't see you in months. Like you kind of still hear that. So that's why during the verse, I really wanted to like, okay, how am I gonna sound like myself on this verse? So that was the reason why it was really hard to really figure out how to write this. And then it was like, it was a kind of beat I hadn't really worked with before. It's not like super trap style like Pound Cake. It wasn't really like sample style, even like Mama Said earlier on the album. It was pretty weird for me. Like I couldn't really figure out the pocket on this beat. So I had a really hard time writing this. I think it took me a couple days to write this, honestly, which is really rare. But it took me a few days to write this. I genuinely could not figure out what to write. I was struggling with the material for this section because I think one, just having not really been in love at that point. And then two, just, I don't know, it was just really hard song to write around. So for me, it was almost like I was coming up with the story. The story isn't about me. It's about this. It's about this guy who basically, you know, you can hear it in the hook. You know, said I'm feeling you once, and I'm caught I ain't seen you in months. It's like this love that these two people are trying to get to work out. It's just been difficult. They both love each other. They both have feelings for each other. It's just like because of life circumstances kind of keep coming up, they haven't really been able to work things out. You know, so says she alone again, send me that Addy, you know, it's like they really mess with each other, you know, sliding to each other's house late at night, they're, you know what I'm saying, hanging out. It's like, you know, even at that part where it's like, she's still coming to grips with, okay, like I really like this dude, but I'm not sure if things will work out. But it's like, you know, I said, I think early on in the first verse where it's like, she gets drunk and tells her friends, like, I really like this dude, you know, so that's essentially what the song is about. And that's why I really kind of like that sort of like B section, I keep calling it, where it's like they've also both had some trauma, which is a recurring theme throughout the album. But it's like, you know, you both had some trauma, right? Situations that didn't work out, situations that maybe did work out and just weren't good. So you're scared of loving again. You're scared of expressing yourself again. You know, but it's, you know, loving ain't easy, but hearts gotta spill is what I say. It's like, you know, we know this isn't easy, but if we both like each other, like, we gotta commit. You know, we gotta either commit or we don't commit, and we go our separate ways. So that's effectively what this song is about. Um, and I'm trying to think if there's any like other little tidbits to add, because you know it was a pretty straightforward song. Like I said, I've had a lot of people tell me like, "Yo, this is my favorite song." I think, you know, after maybe like the third or fourth time I like promoted it, um, a lot of people started coming to me about it and just messaging me about it. But it's a song I never really promoted because around that time, Thankful for Me was starting to take off a bit. So I kind of shoved this to the back, and then I had new songs coming out. So I've never really been able to steadily promote it. The fun song, I think, looking back on and listening to, uh, it's just something I just don't really bring up too often. But I've been asked about it a couple times recently, so I figured I might as well throw it on here somehow, some way. There's a lot going on, which is why I feel like I've been a little scarce on socials. Maybe not, but um, things have been really great, honestly. This might be kind of random, but things have been really good music-wise recently. I feel like I kind of plateaued a little bit, still kind of am a little plateaued if we're talking in terms of numbers, but I don't want to get caught up in numbers. I'm I'm back to enjoying what I'm doing. Um, there was a little period for a while, maybe about a month ago, a month or so ago, where it was just for some weeks, it was like I didn't want to make music, I didn't want to record any videos, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to work on anything. I just was like, I just want to stop. Um, and I think I'm getting back to a point. I'm really tired. I don't sleep as much as I should, but I'm not really too burnt out. I think I'm getting to a point again where I'm like, I'm thoroughly enjoying everything I'm doing. I've had a lot of support, a lot of new people joining the Reckless crew. It's been very enjoyable for me, honestly, just kind of building up this little support base, this little group around me. Hopefully we continue to grow and develop. Um, I'm working on a lot. I don't want to always be that guy that's like, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, and then nothing happens. I still have my website up. I haven't really put too much on it, so it's a little hard to get things done. Just things for the future. Like I said, I got Alone version 1 just dropped, so it's on my YouTube, SoundCloud, and Clary actually just got it up for streaming, so it's on Spotify, Apple Music, all that jazz. Some things for like end of year / next year, like I'm trying to get into live performances, so just open mics and stuff. But if I can hopefully branch out and get into performing, that would be fantastic. Um, for next year, I want to say by the second anniversary of Reckless and the Search for Love, so it's June 13th of 2027, I want to hopefully have some vinyls out for that. I've found a website called Elastic Stage. I don't know how good it is. I've heard some good things, some bad things, so I don't ever want to sell you guys something that just isn't good. So I'm going to look into that, and maybe by the end of the year, if not next year, I want to see if I can get like a test copy for myself first, see how that comes out, and then if it's good, like I really want to get a vinyl out for that. Yeah, maybe merch at some point. I would like to find like someone that's a graphic designer, and can kind of help me come bring those visions to life with some merch and stuff. So things are moving a little slow right now, but they're on the up, and I just really appreciate all the love and support, man. Um, I have gone through a lot of shit where it's like I just want to stop, I just want to quit, but y'all really kept me moving. So I thank y'all, and I'm gonna sign off before I start tearing up. So much love to y'all, man. Yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.